Okay, so today we're going to look at using Python from inside InspectionWare. So the first thing to know is that there is a Python interpreter in Environment, System Tools. Okay, so I'm going to drag this on my property window, and I'm going to take my diagnostics window and make a few changes. I'm going to show it as console, and I can type a line in here, print A, and hit enter, and I get a Python output there. Okay, so I think the next thing we want to do is to show how we can make a little more specific interface for this. So I open a user interface, I go to design mode, I add a message logger, I open it up, and just going to make these changes. I'll get rid of the time and object window, and I'm going to show console, and we'll leave errors on, that's fine. Okay, and then we go back to System Tools, and we connect this up here. So the thing to know is everything, when you run Python through a Python node, it's all going through this interpreter. So this is the thing you need to cook up to get your console running, and that's what we need to do for that. Okay, so now we will add a Python node, put it over here in inspection, and we'll click on it to get its properties and tidy this up a little bit. Okay, so the Python node runs like the C# node, that you can either have embedded code or code in a file. And I'm just going to use embedded code for now, and we'll just get a quick sense of what we can do with it. Okay, so my source code is connected to my editor here, so I can start typing. So the first thing you need to know is import InspectionWare as IW. And then I'm going to do me equals IW dot get IW object. And what that is get IW object with no arguments is just the node that calls it. So this code is inside this Python node, and it's going to get that, and we're going to do print me, and we're going to run our Python node and see what happens. It says Python node IW dataset of type, so it's just traced out the name there. So you can look in the help to see all the Python functions. It does a fair bit. It's not that big an interface, so it's pretty easy to get around. I'll just keep going with this IW.get object, and then I'll do quote slash IW quote. So that's the path to the desktop. So that argument in there can just be a path. So I can do print desktop over to here, press F5, and it's complained about something. Oh, get object, get IW object. And we've got the main window. Okay, so a couple more examples here. We'll do, how about we'll do version equals desktop dot get prop. I'll just do that, and if I look at the properties in my main window, let's just grab this one. So I'll do right click, copy property name, and I'll paste it in between the quotes. do print. Run that again. And that looks like the right answer for that. Version 1, revision 0. Okay. So open up the help. There's a help on the Python node. More relevant is the help on the Python functions. Like I said, it's not that big an interface. There's get property, IW object. You have nodes, data tables. It's a reasonably comprehensible interface. But probably the most useful thing, certainly what I find the most useful thing, is getting at the data. As far as C# versus Python, I think they're both useful to control InspectionWare and work in InspectionWare. I tend to use, and I think it's the right decision, C# is good at accessing nodes. You can get at the data, you can move nodes around, you can change properties and tasks, and it's probably better for that management sort of level. It's compiled, so there's less overhead in doing that. Python really shines in getting at data and tables, and you can use all the wonderful tools that Python has to offer using that. We'll probably do that in another video, getting at the data. We'll just get up and running in Python here, but that's sort of a bit of context for where you want to use Python. One more thing you want to know about Python is when you're using a bunch of different modules, you create a virtual environment and you can load all those in, and those virtual environments can be different from workspace to workspace. So we double click on workspace, right click, Python requirements, and this is a pretty simple node. You just put in the requirement text. I'll put it over here, and in this case I could just put in TensorFlow and the version, and that would let this workspace have access to TensorFlow. So a few more things on the Python requirements. It's up to you to run that, as it says in the help, before you start your before you run your Python node, so that the virtual environment is created. And probably the first time you run, Python gets enthusiastic and creates extra copies of InspectionWare. You'll have to close those. Maybe we'll figure out a way to stop that, but I know that it does like to do that. But then after you've loaded it won't happen. So I think that's the basics of running Python. We haven't covered how to look at data and so on. We'll do that in another video.